Oop. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm driving.
I can hear you. I just don't want you to be in a
Oh no,
pretty. Okay, don't look at
you're
me.
good. I won't look at you. Thank you so much. I was like, we have a Zoom call today, and I'm thinking it's Thursday. I'm like,
Oh,
my mind, my baby was up all night last night. I'm exhausted.
oh goodness. I know.
I
Life
know.
doesn't stop for us, does it? Just
No,
keep
it doesn't.
going.
It doesn't. But I'm trucking along.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
I just wanted to go over, just for clarity and for peace of mind,
Huh?
for the templates. Okay, so I wanted to present really quick. For my videos, for my lesson plan, I'm going to be doing opinion writing. So it's a consecutive 3 in a row, and we're learning, persuasive writing, logic, emotions. What else? Logic, emotions, honesty. So the students will be, having writing prompts on their Nearpods and Seesaw, and I'm creating a lesson plan to do that with them, and they're going to be progressing in their writing um, for expounding on their paragraphs, longer paragraphs. Instead of having one, they're going to be having 4. So that's kind of what we're doing. And I wanted to check in with you and make sure that that was sufficient and that was good.
Okay, so that hits your theme, one of your themes. So you have to have a foundational skill and a theme. So the theme can be writing. It's any of the other literacy components, which writing is one. But you also, one of your lessons has to focus on foundational skills. What grade level are you?
It's a 4th, 5th grade combo class.
Okay, 4th and 5th grade, gen ed, or I forget.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, so they still have in 4th and up to 5th grade, there is a section of the ELA standards that says foundational skills. And it's those foundational skills you need to pick one standard from there. And that can be taught just to your focus student or a small group of your students who are working on some sort of phonics based issue. So it could be related to spelling. They're behind somehow. This can be just to your focus student, or it can be integrated into your whole all 3 lessons in writing. Somehow,
Could
if
it
you're,
be a reading group?
yeah, it can be a reading group, right? Sure. Yeah. Yep.
I will say this. The time in, they are high standards. Like she does not have a single student that is behind. That is, there's maybe one student that might need help with, writing, writing a little bit more accurately, better, but she doesn't have any like ELA students, none of that. The one student that I focused on, he exited out of the path already.
Okay.
On him because so if that's okay, but he's not really behind. So would I just like pick maybe something he needs to work on, or
Yes, you could do that, or you could work on, whoop, whoa, I think I lost you. Shoot. Shoot. So Andrea, I'm just going to keep talking because I think I lost you and I can record it and give you that information. Oh, there you come. Hi, Andrea. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you can, so I'm just, oh, yep, you're coming in twice now, probably on your phone, and that's okay too. Andrea, if you look, I would say look at your foundational skills, and if there's anyone in the class, oh, hi. So
Okay. Hi, sorry, I got, I lost, can focus on
yeah, you're
with the
cutting
student that,
you're cutting in and out quite a bit. It's hard for me to understand. But if you want to talk, I think I can answer your question on video, or you can sign back in tomorrow or tonight
okay,
if that works. So I have another meeting I have a meeting from 4 to 5 with you all, and then 5 to 6 with the regular Cal TPA folks. But I'm gonna record my answer and send that to you. If you still have other questions,
okay,
then we can set up another time. Okay. So
okay,
that
okay.
was for you. But so if I lose you, I'll at least have the recording. What I was going to say is, since it has
Thank you.
to have a foundational skill, look at the foundational skills and see if there's anyone in your class, because there are fifth grade foundational skills that are lacking in something. Now that could be syllabication, multi-syllable words, spelling. All of those are kind of foundational skills. And if everyone is sort of advanced from that, then you can go to the language standards that are sixth grade and above. The language standards look at prefixes, suffixes, vocabulary development, which I'm guessing your ELD student, even though he's redesignated, would benefit from increased vocabulary development. And to be honest, the CTC thinks that everyone is an English language learner. We're just trying to advance their language
Right.
any way possible. So
Okay.
you do have to list and teach one foundation or language skill. So it's either fifth grade. So since you have an advanced group, I'd look at the fifth grade foundational standards. And if they have met all of those, I would go to the sixth grade language standards and find something in there. And then teach your
Okay.
writing is fine. Your writing is your extra theme. So you should be fine with that.
Okay. So then one of those, and then what would the other one be? Just
You do have to have an ELD standard as well.
okay.
Even though your student is redesignated, you have to have an ELD standard for the group. And so that's
Okay.
probably vocabulary, or like if you're talking about writing and
What about like punctuation?
so that wouldn't
No.
be, that could be in language. I don't know, you'd have to look at it, but I'd say it's your ELD standards is more like speaking, explaining, using academic language. Look at your ELD standards for fifth grade and find one that your ELD student and your class potentially could benefit from. So
Okay. Perfect.
yeah, okay.
Okay. And then really quick, because I know you have to go. The other question was filling out the templates. I feel like I have enough information, but I don't feel like it's a lot of information. So my question is, how much do you want us to expound? Like, is a couple sentences on, template A? I feel like I answered the prompts as best as I could, but it almost seems like there's not enough.
Yeah, so I will take a look at it, and if I think that it's lacking specificity, then I will
Uh-huh.
let you know. I'll just say, well, you could be more explicit. So, for example, I looked at a lot of people's template A, and I realized that some of them are doing like, oh, their ELD level is 273. that's not that you need to use words, not just numbers. What does that mean to be at a 273? And so I'll give you some feedback along the thoroughness that I
Okay,
think that they're looking from. And I'm basing it on what they expect for the Cal TPA cycle 1 and 2. I kind of know the
okay,
level that people have passed with. So
okay,
that will help. I'll look at it.
okay,
And today as a group, we'll kind of look at each other's maybe to see, but where you could add some stuff if
okay,
it's not specific enough, but you'll get feedback this week.
perfect, perfect. Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
See you later. Bye. Hello, Sabrina, my friend.
Hello.
We're gonna be best buddies by the end of this term. Hi, Evelyn. Not that we haven't spent a lot of time together too, huh?
I know. I loved it last semester.
Good, good. I'm glad. I know all my special ed people. I'm like, oh, you're my little favorites, but don't say that because I know y'all best. You
Don't
know,
tell anybody else.
don't tell anybody else. Exactly. I know. And the funny thing is for Cal TPA, it's an optional class. And so the most of the people that I get to come in are my
Oh,
assigned folks. They're the people who I guess because they know me and
yeah.
everybody else is like, I don't know what this is or whatever, and they just ignore me. But the pass rate for our special education people is almost like 98%. So
Oh,
I'm like,
see?
see, y'all are.
So come explore. What is it?
Yeah, take advantage of all the
Yeah,
resources you
that's
can.
right. I do.
Yeah, and each other. You guys support each other well too. It's fun to
True.
see. Speaking of, okay. I'm tired now.
Me too.
I bet you are. I haven't been on my
It,
feet all day. I can
it's
imagine.
been a day, and I was like, I thought the full moon was on Friday.
Uh, I do remember that. I do remember. It's like any wind. Have you noticed that? It's like
Yeah.
wind is the worst. Rain, okay, that gets everybody all excited because they can't go out and play
Mhm.
and they're and the worst thing ever is those the cafeteria room where they cram all the
Oh,
kids in together.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's just pass because that is sensory overload for everybody, and it's horrible. I won't want to be in there. So
I
let
I keep my students in on Monday when because they have like a DJ come for the kids. I keep them in because they don't like it.
yeah, some of it's not good. It's like just warehousing them all in this little cramped space. It's super loud and echoey.
You know,
Ugh. Yeah, no, not good for our folks at least. I don't think it's good for anybody. They come back all like, what? You know? So I don't know. I don't know. All right, so we're gonna look at LPA. Yay. And I am so sorry, y'all who are ed specialists, that we don't have your actual template yet. I hollered at him and said, oh, foul, foul, that's not fair. Why did you not give them all out at the same time? But as soon as I get them, I will send an announcement and give them to you. But I think we can look at, obviously, I think that the template that I gave you is going to be the exact questions for template A. And we can look at the multiple subject template B to get a sense of what they will be asking for you all. So it's not you don't have to stop or stall. It's just coming up. So that's the exciting part of being a pilot, and the timing is a little off. Hi, Tyrone.
Hello, hello, hello.
My next favorite student ever.
Uh,
You and Sabrina, you're my people this term. They're
That's
got
right. That's
all
right.
in, all in. So I love your questions. I love your watching you teach, Sabrina. Awesome. That was fun. Do you know how to see the evaluation?
I saw you comment. I just haven't had time to look at it. But my email like was blowing up, so I'm pretty sure I can be able to see it. I just haven't gone through it.
It's okay. It's going to be in Canvas, both you and Tyrone. It's in Canvas and it says observation 1 evaluation. And
Oh,
I have to link it and it's kind of wonky. So I'm hoping it links right. This
I'll
is
look
only
at it.
the second time because it's done in SLNL and yeah. So if you can't see it, let me know. But
I did mine today also.
oh, good. Okay.
And so I just attach it to the coaching,
Yeah,
share it to yeah.
the huddle.
The huddle. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. The
Yeah.
huddle. And then after that, then I don't turn anything to Canvas. Do I just turn it to the huddle?
Yeah, just the huddle.
Okay.
Just the huddle. Your lesson plan, I think you already did turn into Canvas. I think I saw your lesson plan somewhere.
Okay. Great.
So yeah, and then to see the evaluation, it's in Zibby too. I mean, it's in Canvas linked if I did it right. If I didn't, holler at me and I'll fix it or try.
And that's what we have to do our reflection based off of your evaluation.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. And I'm supposed to send that to your coaches, your site host teacher or cooperating teacher and your site mentor, but I don't know how to do that yet. So I'm gonna have to figure that out, how to print it as a PDF and send it to them. So it's not really friendly yet. So, but I will give it a go. So, hi, Jennifer, Taylor, how are y'all?
Hi, Dr. Beckner. Sorry, I got out late today.
That's okay. All right. That's all right. We're gonna try to get through some stuff and just give you some tips on the next piece of this and keep everyone on track. But y'all are doing great. I've been looking at your templates today, and I have a couple of just sort of general tips to ask you about. And oh yeah, I'm recording already. That's good. Okay. So, oh, that's the wrong class. Wrong one too. I think that's cycle 2. Let me find the right one. Nope. Wait a minute. Where'd it go?
I have a quick question.
Okay,
Th-
go.
that film that I did today, what class is that? It's not this one, is it?
No, the film that you're talking about, the lesson that you recorded.
Yes.
That was for clinical practice.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one is the LPA, Literacy Performance Assessment, and probably you haven't filmed that yet. I'm hoping you haven't because we haven't talked about what is required on the film yet. But the film I'm anticipating the film that you do for the LPA will be your second or third clinical practice video also. It can double dip, in other words, you can count it for both things, okay? So that we can minimize the number of times you have to record.
Yes, because I just turned in my first recordings on Friday to my clinical practice professor.
Mm-hmm.
So now the second one will count for, or we can use it for both on the second and third ones.
Yeah. At least the second. We technically say one, but see what whoever your master teacher is, if they think that both of them can come from the LPA, then fine by me. I don't care. So why can't I find what I was just working on? Let me see if I can find it. I just had it up. Okay. Let me go into the right spot. Too many things open. Okay. LPA. All right. Okay, yes, week 4 LPA. Okay, so I want to ask these questions of you, and I'm going to share my screen. It doesn't look pretty yet, but oops, it doesn't either. Okay, go and it's pretty blah looking, but that's okay. Share. All right. These are the questions that I want you to think through for your work. And let's see, we have 5 of you here. Because I noticed a couple of things in what was submitted to me. So here's some questions. Did you answer the prompts? I mean, all of them. All of them. Because that first question, if you notice, it's packed. It's a lot. It's assets. It's needs. It's cultural and linguistic resources. It's grade level. It's a lot of stuff in that first question. So make sure that it's and you've addressed all of it in that section. Okay. And then be as specific as you can be. I noticed, because I think the 3 of you who are showing your faces, you're all our ESN folks, right? Evelyn, Sabrina, and Tyrone. So you actually, when you get your templates, you're probably in that first question going to say NA because it's for your whole class and you're not doing a whole class. You're doing a single student. So the first couple of questions apply to the whole class. And so you're going to say NA. All right. So you don't have to worry about it. But let me get to see if I can find. Okay, that's not it. No, it's not it. Okay, let me see if I can find the templates.
Okay, which assignment is this again? You said the template for.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this template. So we'll look at it together. Okay, this is the multiple subject one. The ESN and MMSN one is a little bit different, but very similar. Let me, since most of you are ed specialists, I'm going to pull that one up instead. Very similar questions, but a little bit different focus. Let me pull that one up. Okay, did you describe your students' assets? What do they like? What are they good at? Strengths. This is really an asset focused assessment. They don't want to hear just all negatives about your students. Just saying. Cultures. And this question is for the whole class. So this is where I'm saying you all are going to say NA there because you're not talking about a whole class. But for our multiple subject folks and our mild mod folks, they have to talk about the linguistic and cultural aspects of their entire learning group. That could be 3 students, it can be 30 students, it doesn't matter. But what are the cultures represented in numbers? Like I got, 10 students come from Hispanic backgrounds. I have 2 that come from Middle Eastern backgrounds. Like be as specific as you can be. What grade level and age range do you have? What are the learning needs of your students? How many are grade level in your group? How many are below grade level, far below grade level based on some of those scores that you see? How many of them have specific learning issues and have IEPs, that kind of thing? And then how many of them are English language learners or are for you all, if you're mild mod and working with the learning group, how do you have language issues, right? So speech and language challenges, minimal communication. And then this one is really reading proficiency, very specific. So reading is not just reading, it's phonics, it's phonemic awareness, if you have data on that, if you have spelling data, if you have writing data, if you have any form of data from iReady, from past assessments, Woodcock Johnson, whatever. Again, this question is for whole class, ESN folks, NA. Okay. Your instructional setting, most of you are in person, so that's great. Most of you are, well, you could be small group. Some of you are going to be self-contained classrooms. If you have a co-teacher because you're in clinical practice, that's great. How many support professionals do you have? And they don't necessarily mean the people that are in the room with you 100% of the time. It's not just your paraprofessionals, but it could be, do you have access to speech and language pathologists or occupational therapists that are assisting you, helping with that student So that would apply to everybody. And then, most of this isn't going to apply unless you are in a bilingual class. Most of you are going to be in an integrated, what they call an integrated ELD. That's the credential you're getting. You're getting your content specific, multiple subject, ed specialist, whatever, but you're also considered integrated ELD instructor. Okay, so that probably doesn't apply. And then why'd you pick your focus student? So what specific needs do they have? And then you're going to, this is where our everybody is going to really dig in. Again, same questions, but these are now focused on your focus student. Okay, what is the assessment data? And then some of my questions that I've seen is people will give an LPAC score. Did you give an LPAC score like 278? I want you to use words, not numbers. Okay. What does that mean, 278? Because you can't use that data to help you plan your instruction. 278 means nothing to me, unless I have that translated into words. That means that my student is able to do this, but not that. And so I could advance their learning in this way. So be as specific as you can be here with the information that's provided. Also observation. So if the last LPAC score said that, he's a beginning English learner, but that was in that was probably last May. What do you see and hear? Conversationally, he's able to discuss with his peers things. Is he using simple sentences? This would apply to our ed specialists too, related to language and literacy. So you're going to outline if your student is using single words, simple phrases, using an AAC device to communicate points, uses gestures, doesn't have any, abstract language at all yet. What does that look like? So I can really kind of visualize your student. And then obviously you're going to discuss the disability that they have and, how they qualify for special education if they do. And the supports that are outlined in their IEP. And for a couple of you, I've mentioned, go to the IEP, go to the FATE page where it says, this is what we're promising to give to your student. What accommodations, what supports, how many hours of RSP, how many, extra time on tasks, whatever is listed there, that's what we're going, preferential seating, any of those things that are there, you can outline, read aloud text, computer, iPad, any of those things that are required, you should know what is required and be using those in your lesson. Because that's a really easy connection. It says I have to do these things, so I'm doing these things, in my lesson. So that's good. And then describe the literacy, knowledge, and skills in their primary language if you know. And if you don't know, say, I don't know. They haven't been assessed in their primary language. So let me go back to what I saw, and just to make sure, again, not in the right spot, too many. Okay. All right. So did you answer all of those prompts? Did you answer the prompts in the brackets? So there's gray pieces of the assessment. When you get the actual document itself, let me see if I can find one okay, so here's one. And so this is the gray part, right? This is, and then here is the brackets. So this person did it correctly. The answers are in the brackets. If they're outside the brackets, technically they're not supposed to look at anything outside the brackets. So don't change the gray parts of this, and only write within the bracket would be what you need to do. All right, did you describe the assets as well? The ELD levels of the learning group, not just in numbers. And did you discuss culture? Okay, and specific grade level information from the assessments. So that's get as specific as you can. You're supposed to dig deep and know your whole group as well as your focus student. Okay, so most of you have some really great information. And I'll, kind of point out, my hope was that you could look at each other's work and give each other some support. So I think Evelyn, Sabrina, Tyrone, you have your template in there, right? And
I have what?
you
I
have,
turned it in?
you turned it in, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and Jennifer, can you remind me what your credential area is?
Yes, I am mild moderate.
Okay, all right, and then Andrea, I know, is multiple subject. So what I think might be helpful is to give you a couple of minutes to pull up in breakout rooms, and you pull up your document and share it with one other person. And so we have 3 ESN folks, and Jennifer and Andrea's templates are going to look very, very similar. And Andrea, are you in a place where you can share your template, or are you just listening in?
I am feeding my baby right now.
Okay, all right, gotcha. All right, so maybe we'll break into 2. And whoops, again with my hands. I just turn that off.
Those are the balloons I saw last week.
You do see that? And
Yeah.
now if I try to do it, I can't even do it. So we played around. I'm like, Hannah, because she's like 20 something. She should know these things, right? Why is it doing that? And so we looked it up. But like if I do this, it's supposed to do something else. But see, if I try to do it, it doesn't do it. But oh, look, it did do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's other things like fireworks or whatever. I don't even know, but I'm like, try to sit on my hands. I don't know why that is. I can't turn it off. I'm sure I can, but I'm not smart enough. So anyway, no hands. Okay. I'm going to break you into groups. I want you to look at at least a couple of your own prompts. Oh, look, there's Bunny. Yes, we all see.
You straight have a rabbit in the house. What?
I do have a rabbit in the house. It's my bunny.
That bunny is eating good. I'll tell you that. He's nice and round.
He is, because he is an Angora rabbit. So he is.
Where's Angora?
Huh? What is that?
Where's Angora? Is that a place?
No, it's a kind of wool. So when y'all come back, I'll show you. I'll go find that you can see.
Professor, I have a quick question on the brackets. I'm confused on what you were talking about, like the other document you showed us.
Yeah, because you don't actually have your templates yet. When you get the templates, that's what that looked like. All right.
Oh,
so there's little brackets, and that's where you fill in your things. What I gave you didn't have brackets because it was just right. But I'm pretty sure you're just going to be able to fill that information in. So I pull up your own documents. I'm going to give you like 5 minutes to look at the thoroughness of each other's work to see if you think, okay, because we know our student, we sort of fill in any gaps. So it's really hard to evaluate whether someone who's a assessor is going to have the same vision of your student and understand and be able to see their assets and needs the same way that you can. So I'm going to send you to breakout rooms for maybe like 8 minutes that you can share with each other. I'm going to do Evelyn and Sabrina and Tyrone and Jennifer and Andrea if she can look in. She doesn't necessarily have to participate. That's okay.
Yes, I can look in.
Okay, great. And look at each other and give each other feedback. And I will also look at your documents too. I have done some already. Okay, so let me do that. just pull up quickly your own documents, work together to support each other, you know, indicate what's working really well and what you think could be clearer. So let me assign Andrea, Tyrone, and Jennifer in one. And oh, and Taylor's here too. Wait, where is Taylor? Oh, Taylor's there. Taylor, are you able to participate? I know your camera's off.
I'm driving, just left school, but
Okay. That's okay. Are you, what's your subject? Are you multiple subject? I forget. I think you are.
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
multiple
multiple
subject.
subject.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to send you with Evelyn and Sabrina, even though they're different groups, because they are going to have actually documents for you to take a look at. And it doesn't matter a whole lot. The same questions are going to be asked for everybody. So let me open those rooms and see if you can look at each other's documents and what you see and what you think can be improved. And then we'll kind of talk back together. And then I want to look at part B together so we know what's coming up, okay, when we come back together. And yeah, maybe that'll make it go away. It's not going away. Weird. Okay. All right. How'd it go? Did y'all get to look at each other's stuff? Give some advice? All right. I had
Yes,
two.
but we have some questions.
Okay,
Sorry.
good. Two. Yes.
So Evelyn's and mine were not completely different, but hers is more like storyline, like she's explaining like everything concisely, but mine is like more bullet points. Should I just like, should I move that and switch it to like more of like,
As far as that goes, I have looked at both of yours. I don't think it matters too much whether it's bullet points or paragraph form. As long as the information is there, I don't think it matters.
Okay, because I told her like from what I got out of it was I thought we were supposed to be building kind of like a story so that the raters can kind of see like our students. So that's why I did it that way. But I mean, if it doesn't really matter, then it'd be easier that way to do it in bullet point.
It doesn't matter. And like I noticed, Evelyn, you put some information about math. And so my advice there is that might not necessarily be information that's needed. It gives a holistic idea of the student, but for a literacy assessment, it may be extra information that's not necessary. So answer the prompts, whether that's in a paragraph or bullets, it doesn't matter. Just be as specific as you can be. And there was a question about what do we mean by funds of knowledge or assets? That's a really common question. So I'm gonna play with my own a minute and answer Tyrone's question about the buddy. So our family loves animals. We have tons. We've always had 20 plus pets. We just do. My mom, my grandma, everybody is farmers. We just do. And so the bunny that I have gives me this great wool. You just pluck it off of him. It's like this little fluff ball, which then you turn into wool yarn that then you spin into garments. Like, I'll show you this. So I'm working on this right now. Here's the wool that I get and the knitting that I'm doing to create something from his fur that just falls out of him or I pluck out of him. So, but we have chickens. I know about how to treat them and antibiotics and all this stuff. That would be funds of knowledge. Your students who are raised around, agriculture, they're going to know about, I got these plants going on and new plants coming out. Those are what I mean about like things that people do as hobbies or what their family knows a lot about. They go to museums, they love art, they love sports. All those are funds of knowledge and assets that then that student already has academic knowledge, academic language about that you can build on. So that and answers my bunny question. So yeah. Plus, he's just like my little comfort thing. If I feel sad, I just pet him and he makes me feel better. My therapy animal, as I say. So, all right. Other questions about template A, and then we're gonna look at template B. No? All right, because we only have a few more minutes. Let me go to see if I can find it. All right, let me see if I can find it from our friends. So we're gonna have to pull it from our multiple subject friends because we don't have it yet. Let's go to modules. Okay. Oh, it's right there under announcements. Okay. So y'all got to see the multiple subject ones, and they're going to be very, very similar. If you're mild mod, it's going to be probably almost exactly the same. The only extra question that it will be is, let's make sure this is literacy performance. Yeah. The only extra questions that might be there are related to IEP goals and your support professionals in the classroom. Those are the uniqueness that I'm anticipating related to our ed specialist. But so if we look at the questions and what you have to answer, you can really pull from this multiple subject one. Briefly summarize how your lesson applies findings from previous literary assessments. So here they're looking at, let's make sure I'm recording. I am, right? Yes, okay. Make sure that, okay, it makes logical sense. If the student knows, 20 of their letters and sound correlations, then you're going to work on the ones that they don't know. Or if they can read CVC words, then you're going to work on, silent E, or the next sequence in sort of this structure literacy. If you're talking about foundational skills, if you're talking about comprehension skills, then it's based on a standard that's related to their grade level comprehension. So, and it's based on what you already know that they know, right? It makes logical sense for the group and the whole thing. And then for every lesson, you're going to do, it's not a super detailed lesson, but what is your standard? So you're going to have an ELD standard and literacy goal, and an ELD standard and ELD goal. Okay. And then briefly summarize the lesson's activities. What are the students going to do to master those goals? Describe how you're going to assess them, that they've mastered the goals. And then you have to have one of these must have a foundational reading skill. It can be integrated across all three. So if a foundational reading skills are the focus and are part of this lesson, identify the foundational reading skills from the ELA, ELD framework that you will address in this lesson. And when they say framework, you can use the ELD standards, but there is a framework that kind of talks about how you can teach it. It gives you some support. So, and then when they say additional themes that are the focus or part of this lesson's goals, that's comprehension goal, writing goal, whatever. So as I'm looking through this, I'm thinking this is the standard. This is the standard. And this is the foundational goal, other theme goal. And then if applicable, adaptations from the IEP. How you'll use integrated. So most of you are going to be using integrated ELD. Okay, so you put something here. If you have students who are English learners, explain how you'll use the integrated ELD. That to me is a little bit confusing because it says if, but when I asked them specifically, does everyone need to have an ELD goal? They said yes. So that's some of my feedback to them is like, that's confusing. It looks like it's optional. So you will want 6 things, right? A foundational standard and goal, another theme, which is comprehension, vocabulary, writing, and goal, and an ELD standard and goal. That's what I'm gonna require. Put it somewhere in there. I don't think it's super, super clear. Here, but develop, so, and then this is just lesson 4. Most of you won't need this second page. So you just can put NA if you're only doing 3. Okay. And that is the next template that you're going to fill out. All right. So it's not the APU lesson plan in that great a detail, but more like bullets of what the students will be doing, what you will be doing to teach it. Okay. And that's that segment. Let's look at the next one. And then these are your assessment segments. Okay. Now, probably you're going to have multiple formative assessments, and think of formative assessments as just checking for understanding. So in every lesson, you're going to be asking questions and having students answer. Maybe you're going to have them show you on a whiteboard or point to something, or have a choral reading, turn and talk. All of those are kind of formal assessments. You'll have lots of them, and you're just going to pick one of them to highlight here. So describe what you expect the students will know and be able to demonstrate in their response to the selected formative assessment, and how you plan to monitor students' understanding of the ELA literacy and ELD goals during the learning segment. Okay, so how are you going to see if they're getting it? So where thumbs up, thumbs down might be something that you use. You can't really collect that instantly because it's so fast and it's based on students' feelings. I'd say it's got to be like an exit ticket or something that you can see and collect who's got it and who doesn't, or observe. And it's each of the goals that you have that you're checking on. And then your summative is a little more formal. And it's kind of at the end of your 3 lessons. Describe your summative assessment you plan to implement during the learning segment. What standard are you assessing? It doesn't have to be all of them. I've asked that to them a couple of times, but it has to be some of the goals that you are doing. And because it says what standard-based ELA and ELD goal, I'm thinking it has to be at least 2. It might not be your foundational goals. It could be your other theme and your ELD, but I'd say this says and. So I would be also assessing your ELD goal. What are you planning to collect? And where it says process, product, or performance, let's unpack that a minute. It can be a product like a paper pencil quiz on sounds or, something. It can be a performance like you have listened in to them giving an oral presentation or talking to their peers and using academic language. Or it could be a process like they're learning how to do something. That one's a little less clear to be product or performance. Because some of our students who are really young or who don't have a lot of writing skills or aren't able to physically write anything are going to be pointing or doing eye gaze. That's a performance. So you can video record your focus student doing that, because you have to submit your focus students' process, product, or performance. Okay, so just know going ahead, you do need to collect at least just your focus students and upload that. Everyone else, you need to collect it and analyze it. Say how many met the goal, how many didn't meet the goal based on your summative assessment. Okay, what are you planning to collect? We did that. What evidence are you looking for in the students' process to indicate that they are progressing toward meeting the standard? So kind of what is your answer key or rubric or goals that indicate that they're getting there? Okay, so this is kind of your assessment page. So as you're planning your lesson, think about how am I going to know in the moment that they're tracking with me, and at the end of my 3 lessons, that they've made progress toward the goal, right? So with the end in sight. Does that make sense? Yes, I see Evelyn nodding. Thank you, Evelyn. Questions about those next 2 steps, because that's what you're kind of working on. You'll need to have this all done before you begin to film. Okay, so don't film until this is described, because we were still planning. And next week we'll talk about what should be on the film with you, right? So because they're going to grade you. The first few rubrics are based on these documents, and then there's rubrics that are just based on the film. Okay, and other rubrics that are based on the after reflection and apply. Evelyn?
Is this rubric almost the same as the one for ESN?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we kind of start it on this rubric, we can kind of transfer it over when ours comes out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm guessing that there'll be a couple of, so I don't think there'll be actually any difference in the assessment piece, but on the lesson plan itself, there'll be probably a couple of other questions related to how it relates to the IEP, which is actually already on that one, and your paraprofessional. That's going to be probably the only difference in the lesson plan one. And I doubt that there'll be any difference in the assessment at all. I think they'll be exactly the same. That's my prediction. We'll see how close I am when it comes. So the latest you'll get it is Friday, but I think it'll come sooner. If they are at all possible able to give it to us sooner, you'll have it sooner, because it's not fair. Questions, worries, anxiousness? All good? All happy?
So we can go back and kind of add or delete what we want from template A
Yes.
before we actually submit the whole thing.
Yes.
Was it A through F or something?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What you're turning to me is your drafts.
Okay.
And feedback, you draft, and then when you're happy with it, you're going to submit it up to Pearson for the final evaluation.
Perfect. Thank you.
There is, I'm going to be sending out something to you. Let me see if I can get to it. Let me stop sharing and get to it. There, the CTC has sent something out, and it is a, let me see, let me get to it. It's a form that needs to be completed by everyone participating in the pilot that basically says a couple of things. And I can't find it right away. Hold on, let me get to it. I have way too many things all at once. Okay, it's called Candidate Acknowledgement Form. So let me show you what it says, and I'll be sending it to you, and everybody's expected to complete it. And it isn't meant to scare you, but just to, it's everything we've already talked about. But I understand that if I do not earn a passing score of 14 points on the LPA pilot, I will need to take and pass the current Cycle 2 and RECA in order to meet the TPA requirements and the reading instruction requirement, along with all the other program requirements to be recommended for my preliminary credential by my program. So that could seem scary, but just know that, remember, 14 points out of 8 rubrics, or 9 rubrics, 8 rubrics, you don't even have to get a 2 on everything to pass. And there's no, you can get multiple 1s, you can get multiple, you know, and if you got a 3, that pulls it up. So they're not anticipating anyone will fail this, but they want to make sure, you know, if you turn in a blank document or you turn in something that's really, really subpar, then it's not an automatic pass. You would have to go back to Cycle 2 and RECA. Or if you miss the deadline completely, which is like April something, 5th, whatever, then you sort of default back to cycle 2 Enrica. Because right now, all of your names have gone to the Commission for Teacher Credentialing, and the legislation has said, yes, these people are exempt from taking those assessments, provided that they do this. And so that kind of gets undone if you don't do it. But if you're turning in documents to me, I'm super confident that you're going to pass with way higher score than a 14. Remember, for our ed specialist, cycle 2, our average is 23. And for multiple subject, the average is 23 right now. So with support, it would be really hard to get a 14. I'm not seeing a 14. Even for people who didn't pass, they don't normally score a 14. They score something else. So it just means that you understand that if you completely blow this off, you'll be back to cycle 2 Enrica before your credential can be completed. But let me say this, you're doing the work, 3 lessons in literacy, that you could take this work and transfer it to cycle 2. And possibly re-record those lessons for cycle 2 if you had to. But if you don't pass the LPA, you probably don't have great lessons for the cycle 2 either. So it does matter. So you're going to fill out your name, your address, and submit. Just basically saying you understand that you must meet that passing requirement and 14. And if not, that it will default to cycle 2 Enrica. Questions about this form?
Do we have that form or not yet? Because I have
Not yet.
seen that.
I'll be sending it to you in the next bit or tomorrow morning, something like that. Okay. What else can I do for y'all? I
I
sent.
just want to clarify. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Sabrina. Yeah.
I just want to clarify on the lessons. We don't have to do actual like specific lessons, like say we did for our clinical practice, right?
No, all you have to do is fill in that form.
Template B, right?
Yeah, template B is the lesson plans that you'll be submitting. That's the extent of it.
But we are implementing our lessons to our students, right? But we just don't have to fill out the little nitty-gritty.
Right.
Okay.
So whatever you need to do in addition to that to make your lesson, work and be good. Yeah. Yeah. So 3 lessons, foundational skills, and they kind of do, hopefully you saw the module from last week. They're wanting explicit, direct, systematic instruction in those foundational skills. So that's not much different than a direct instruction lesson. And that's what they're going to see on the video. They don't necessarily have to see it all outlined in the lesson, it doesn't look like, although I'd probably outline it as much as I could there, but just that you're telling the student what they're going to be learning, you're guiding them through it. It's very systematic. It's not a discovery based. Well, let's see, you're telling them directly, this is what A says, or this is how you do, break words into syllables. And it's very clear, and then they practice it and they do it with you, and then you gradually release. Those are all parts of that direct systematic instruction versus the discovery. Well, let's read this story, and who can find the multiple syllable words? What do you think? What do you think? That's much more indirect versus you're doing a really strong input section where you're telling them, you're modeling them, and they're doing it with you, and then gradual release. So yeah, and it's systematic on the next skill.
That has to be all 3 lessons, right?
That has to be at least one of your lessons. When they're talking about, the way I read it, it's the foundational skill one. has to be in that very structured way. So probably all of them are going to be structured like that because it just lends itself to literacy. But let's say you're reading a story, you could be doing that and you're wanting comprehension. That can be more of a, cooperative learning. You certainly can do cooperative learning and you want students to use a lot of language, turn and talk. So they're talking about words and they're talking about what they understand. Is also very high on the evidence-based research, especially for language development. But particularly for your focus student who's struggling with literacy and mastering the code, the phonics pieces, there's a big push across the whole nation that it has to be very structured and systematic. Not the whole language that students will just kind of somehow through osmosis get it. Okay, they're kind of reacting to the whole language. Read to students and they'll figure it out. Some won't. They need a very explicit instruction. Okay. All right. Eileen, you're probably here for Cal TPA, right? Yeah, okay. So in case you think you're in the wrong spot, you're not. You're fine. We're just ending our last discussion for another assessment, and then we'll be doing Cal TPA next. So. Any final questions for my LPA group before I sign you off?
I just had a question regarding like the clinical practice and the LPA, because an upcoming February 23rd for clinical practice, it's